and go to bed. Now, I'm not a smart man, but that sounds like a stupid way to beat a city. But that's what they did. And they did it on day 1, and they did it again on day 2, and day 3, and day 4, day 5, and day 6. And they weren't defeating the city very good, although they got lots of laughs from people inside. The 7th day, Joshua said, we're going to do something different today. We're not going to march around the city and blow trumpets one time. We're going to do it 7 times. And then we're all going to yell real loud. I could already picture the people of Jericho saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But that's what they did. 7 times all around, and then they shouted, and you know what happened next? The walls came tumbling down. God beat the city of Jericho and gave the city to my people. And that's where I grew up some 1,400 years later. But you know, I almost didn't grow up in Jericho at all. I don't see my bus coming, so maybe I'll tell you why I almost wasn't raised in Jericho at all. My mama always told me that life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. My mama, you know what she got? My daddy. When my mama first met my daddy, she wasn't very impressed. See, my daddy wasn't exactly a tall man. In fact, she was taller than he was. But she decided to go out with him for a couple of times and give it a try and see what happened. And she got to know my daddy a little bit. See, my daddy, being vertically challenged, he had a lot of people pick on him when he was little. A lot of people would beat him up for no good reason. I don't know why people pick on other people. Doesn't seem to do anybody any good. Well, anyway, when you grow up getting picked on all the time, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either number 1, you're going to give up, or number 2, you're going to get tough. My daddy, he got tough. And Mama kind of liked that about him. And they got married. Daddy got this job up in Jerusalem. That was this big city about 15 miles up a mountain. It was hard getting there, but you could just roll the whole way home. He worked for the priest at the temple. His job was an enforcer. You see, when somebody got caught stealing back then, it was different than it is now. They didn't throw you in jail. They made you pay back, and extra payback. For example, if you stole a sheep, you had to pay back 4 sheep for the sheep. If you stole a denarii, you had to pay back 4 denarii for the denarii. If you stole a cart of manure, that's all I have to say about that. Well, anyway, my daddy was this enforcer, and he was the one the priest made sure those stealing people paid back what they owed. My daddy didn't make a whole lot of people happy with him doing that job. And he didn't get paid all that much to do it, but since he was tough, he did it. But then he decided if he wasn't going to be like doing his job, he'd just take a job there in Jericho. So he got this government job, and he was able to stay in his own town and work. My town, Jericho. He made lots of money. He bought my mama this big house. He bought her lots of nice clothes to wear. Bought her lots of nice things. Even hired some people to do all the chores around the house. But my mama wasn't happy. She didn't need more clothes or a bigger house or people to wait on her. What she wanted and what she needed was my daddy. I don't understand why people always want more, thinking it's going to make them happy. People are always out buying things, thinking they'll stay up with everybody around them and it'll make them happier. But things never make a person happier. Not really. I even know of some people that don't have the money to get the things they want to be happy. And so, you know what they do? They go out and borrow the money to buy the things to try and make them happy. That's stupid. Stupid is and stupid does. But you probably don't know nothing about that. Well, anyway, something about my daddy's job made people mad at him too, and he didn't have any friends. And he was gone all hours of the day and night doing this job for the government. And my mama got sadder and sadder. But something happened to make her a little bit happier. As hard as I try, I can't remember being born. But I'm pretty sure I was. And when I was, it made my mama happy. But you know, my daddy wasn't even there when I was born. Finally, my mama had had enough. And she wrote my daddy a note. And in the note, she told my daddy she wasn't happy. She didn't want more stuff. She wanted more of him. But she couldn't wait for him any longer. So me and my mama, we went to another nearby town to stay with her mama. We left Daddy a note, and we left Daddy alone. When Daddy got home, he found the note. Something happened with my daddy that day. His heart broke. And he cried. He cried a good long cry. But you know, my mama always said the bad thing about having a good long cry is when you're done crying, the thing that made you cry is usually still right there staring you in the face. And it was with my daddy. So he cried out. He cried out to God. He cried out just like the Israelites did when they were slaves in Egypt under Pharaoh. And God heard his cry. You know, I'm not sure, but I don't think God always hears our prayers. When we pray for stuff to make us happy, sometimes he doesn't listen because he knows better. But when we cry out for help and we really mean it, I believe he hears us every time. And my dad prayed an incredible prayer. He didn't pray for Mama and me to come back. He prayed for God to change him. You see, he wasn't happy with who he was either. Well, after a long time of praying and crying and praying.